I love research and I take my characters lots of places in my stories, but sometimes I don't know what the place looks like. I have it in my mind what I want it to look like, but I want my characters to be in a place that looks real. So I go to those places so I can experience what they look like today or what they look like long time ago. So I'm going to show you the resources and the tools that I use to create really exciting landscapes and places that your characters can develop in, and you can get your readers more involved and your viewers excited about what they see.
I use Google Earth Pro. Now you can download this off an app store. I'm currently doing some research in the Pyrenees Mountains in France and a village called Andorre-la-Vieille. So I'm going to actually type that in to the search engine here in Google Earth Pro. The Earth's going to spin and it's going to take me right to Andorre-la-Vieille. Once I'm here hovering over the city, I can actually use the tools on the right to zoom in, just like you would on Google Maps. I can adjust my perspective so I'm looking out across the city and across the landscape. And then I can turn the compass so I can look any direction in the city and see where I am and see what the landscape actually looks like. I really love this feature here because I can fly across the surface of the landscape and just take a look at what it looks like, and it just gives me a real feel for how would it be to be a part of this landscape and in this existence. So it's a really great tool to be able to study just the landscapes you might be working. Another place I'm working is Pamplona, Spain. One of my characters comes from there, and I want to know more about that territory and what to expect. So again, once I come to the city, I just zoom into the city so I can take a closer look. I adjust my perspective so I can look out over the whole of the city. I can get a real good feel for how is it laid out and what are the features and what's unique about this city. I can see the rooftops right away. That's something that I'm going to be able to explain to my viewers. The orange and the red rooftops and the octagon shapes and chimneys that are on top. So a lot of real neat features when you begin to do that. There's some other things you can do here. You can turn on shadows, so you can actually set the sun so you can see what it would look like at night or in the late afternoon or the early morning. So you can actually set that and see the actual shadows of the city. Another feature is that you can actually turn on different things. You can turn on roadways and trees and cities and parks. You can also turn on 3D buildings, so you can get a real good feel for what it really looks like if you were to actually live in that city. Now you can talk about the streets and the way the cars are parked and how the apartments rise above the street, and you can talk about the courtyards in the middle of some of the establishments. So it gives you some real neat features into landscapes and your actual scenes and locations. You can also, if you want to leave Earth, you can take a look at the sky, Mars, and the moon. So we'll take a look at the moon. And if you've got a story that takes place on the moon, then you might want to spend some time here looking at the landscape and going across it. If you've got a story that takes place on Mars, here's your opportunity to zoom in and fly across the surface of the red planet. If your story takes you someplace outside of today's time and place. For instance, if you have you may have a fantasy land. I've created some maps for myself so that I get a better understanding of what my land looks like. The software is called Inkarnate. You can find it in inkarnate.com. And here you'll be able to select from free versions and pro versions. Today we're going to just look at the free version. You can select what type of map you're looking at. Right now we're looking at cities, so I'll select what city I want to take. We'll take the first one, and I'm just going to choose that style. You can set up a custom size, a landscape or a portrait or a square for your map, and then we'll go ahead and create the map. It gives you a blank map, but on that blank map you'll have a mask tool, you'll have a brush tool, you'll also have a mode so you can select different stamps, and you have text as well. We'll start with the marking tool because we want to set up some landscape. We want to actually give it our map some features. You can change what these features look like and the sizes. I'm just pointing and clicking, but you can also just draw your landscape, and we'll go ahead and create a river here. So we have a river inside our landscapes, and we'll tie some of our upper landscapes all together. And then next, I'm going to actually want to add some features to my landscapes. So I'm going to grab the stamp tool, and there's a catalog here, so you can open that catalog. Anything with the star is going to be a pro feature, but in this version that I have, there are a few free things we can grab. I'm going to start here with these buildings here, and I'm going to place one of those buildings right there and just change the size of it just a little bit. And next, I'm going to grab just some other buildings, just some general buildings for my village, and I'm going to put those in. You can turn them any way you want and place as many as you want inside your village. And then we'll go ahead and add some plants. You can add clouds, you can add plants, you can add trees, shrubs, bushes, all kinds of things. You can add people. It's really a lot of fun. Doing this gives me an advantage because now my location comes to life, and I have the ability to look at how it might appear to the reader, how it might appear to the viewer. This is for a book I wrote, The Hunger of a Nation. It's a 400-page novel, and I'm able to create. There's the Pyrenees Mountains and Andorre-la-Ville, and I've created clouds and ships and an ocean. I've created trees. I've also been able to create cliffs and caves. It's a lot of fun. I've created a compass, and now I have something that I can refer to create my story as I write. Now, you're a writer, so you can't spend all day just playing with maps, creating maps, and wandering around the world on Google Earth. But for me, it's a great process because it gets me outside of the writing process a little while, and I'm able to create places that I can visually see. I can see the trees. I can get a feel for the buildings and the shadows and the rooftops and what it looks like. For me, it's a great way to experience my locations so that as I write, I can make them more believable. I hope it helps for you. If it's a great tool, use it.